The bad weather not excuse for you, so thank you for coming today. Thank you, Florian, for the organization, and thank you for this space. Let me introduce myself. I'm from Almaty, Kazakhstan, and I've been working as a iOS developer since 2014. I saw a lot of code, I wrote a lot of code, bad and good. And also I like to share my knowledge, that's why I'm here today. And also I have a personal blog with articles related to iOS development, related to Swift and Swift UI, so feel free to check the QR code here. And also if I have some interesting projects related to iOS developments or some useful materials, I also try to put something interesting on my GitHub. You can also check it here. And last months, I tried to use agentic coding in production for real code, for real tasks. So let's start with a few words about Salmon. I work for Salmon. Actually, it's a group of companies. It's a licensed bank. It's a financial businesses and technology platform. We're based in Manila in Philippines. And when I started work for Salmon, I knew almost nothing about Philippines. But actually, it's a rapidly growing market. A lot of people live there. A lot of young people live there. They need a modern financial system, modern application to use. That's why we started this company. And here is our founders. Here is Rafi, George, and Pavel. And for me, finances is like rocket science, and for them it's just math, because they have a lot of experience in different companies related to finances. And they started this business on a new market. They see opportunities there. And also, in last months, we have a new investment round with 100 million. And it's also in the whole sum, it's 310 million for the whole investment from different partners, from different companies. And for me, as for developers, of course, it's just a sign of stability, that everything will be good. I can plan my future in this company, can write good features, and understand that everything will be stable. More interesting numbers for me as for developer, this one, it's digits related to mobile applications. Right now we have 7 million app download. It's for both platform, for iOS and for Android. We have 2 million actively users per month, also for both platform. But it's good that we have a good rating, that the people trust their money for us, and they can see good rating. What we actually built, what inside our application, actually we have these products. It's a credit line, it's a few loans for product and for motorcycles, and time deposits. Of course, we use AI because it's very hype and very trendy. It's hard to skip it nowadays. And we use it not only for the feature-facing products, for user-facing features. You can see some liveness when we scan the face and understand that these people who use the app. We also use it inside for coding, for planning, for task creation, and so on. So today I want to share my own experience related to iOS development. And of course, company and products means nothing without people. I like actually my team, and here is my colleagues here. Here is Nika and Lana. If you have some questions about it, just ask them. Please raise the hands. Nika, raise your hand. We work remotely. So, for instance, I work from Almaty. It's my base city when I work from. And we have people in different countries, in different cities, and we try to adapt our processes for remote team. I want to share also some personal stories about working for Salmon, because when I started to work, I was a bit afraid, because when you work in bank You may expect some restrictions because the banks has some regulations. You can share your ideas or create something interesting. But it was false expectations for me because I felt freedom because I can implement some features. For instance, my own private feature I implemented, it was an action button. When you tap action button on your phone, you can tap QR Pay faster with your phone. You just pay at the stores. I implemented it from scratch to the production. And also we have some internal interesting workshops, some competitions inside. In March, we had an AI assistant competition when you need to create a new product for production with the assistant of AI. I created one project and had some prizes, so I was really excited. And this project helped me from day to day with the design with comparison from Figma. So here in Salmon we can create something new because here is a new market and some people have no expectations of good products. So it's good to share your experience here. And of course, talking about work-life balance, last December I was in Manila. I met some colleagues there and we have some conversations, we hang out together. We have an opportunity to visit Manila and also we have an office in Manila. So anyone can join our team and share their not work but a life experience. And if you're interested in some career opportunities, you may check this QR code. It's actually a site without open vacancies, so you can scan it and check. I'll check the scans. Yeah, thank you so much, and let's start with the main topic. I want to start with a silly coming out. This year, I almost stopped writing code by hand this year. It doesn't mean I was fired or I had less tasks. I had a few tasks in backlog. That means that my workflow changed a little bit. I just used some AI tools that help me to produce, to be on the same level of productivity in my tasks. And my workflow changed a little bit. I didn't rush to start a code to implement something. At first, I tried to set the task and understand the requirements, maybe ask someone about what we need to implement. And also, I tried to share this context with the agent, try to write it down, to check implementation, for instance, on Android, and to summarize everything and put it into agent's brain. And as the last step, I review the result. So I see the final code and I can run it on the simulator and check that everything is good or not. But the important part here that my responsibility isn't changed. Almost all bugs are mine bugs, no matter how I implemented this one. All crashes for users in production, also my crashes, because the responsibility is for developers. It doesn't matter which tool you use to generate your code. And of course, this shift is because of the AI tools I used. I started with not so smart tools, but really useful with the auto completion. And it already felt like a magic when you try to start writing the function, just the name, and model tried to predict what do you want to implement. It was already really cool. I don't need to write code again. After that, we saw plenty of different chat interfaces. The pioneer here was ChatGPT. We use it actively with different models, and we saw Claude, we saw Perplexity, a lot of different chat interfaces everywhere. And it already was the next step. We can just copy some codes, put it inside chat, ask something, try to refactor it, implement maybe something new. And after that, we need to manually copy it back to the project, check the result, everything is good or not, fix the issues, and so on. And the last step is agents. So for me, agent coding is when you can complete the whole task with agent. So you need to produce less manual steps. You can automate more and more with agents. I remember a few moments when it clicked for me. I tried to implement a new deep link inside our application, and I just wrote a simple prompt. Here is a deep link, here is the parameters, just implement it and check the docs. And the agent implemented it, it understood the navigation inside the project, and after that it checked that we have a unit test inside project, and it implemented a new one, and also checked that we have a debug menu with a special sections for deep links. And it also implemented a new section just for these deep links. And for me, it was like an aha moment, because I may miss this one, so I may implement it without unit tests. I may just forgot about it. And the next part, when I tried to implement a new screen, I saw a new layout on Figma, just ask agent implement this one. I burned some time, some tokens, and agent said me, of course, I can implement this one, but maybe we will reuse existing screen inside the app. You can check the layout, check the code. And it actually saved my time, because I don't need to implement this one again. So I may skip it without agents. And today let's try to decompose the agent's development for the three parts. The first one is the context. When you need to put some restrictions and your platform context inside the agent. The second one is tools, when the agent really acts and may validate the results. And the last part is integrations. So the development is not only about coding, it's also about design, about backend development, about some requirements. Let's start with the context. How to put everything we know about the platform, about our project to the agent. So the first very easy step is the basic instructions inside your repo. Personally, I prefer Claude Code, so you can put Claude MD or Agents MD or just create some sim links for different agents. It is the basic instructions how you work with your project. I treat it as the onboarding for a new developer. So just make it conscious, a few sentences about your minimal targets, about language version you use, how you work with navigation, with localization, something about the structure of your project that may be unobvious. The next part is the documentations. So you may write additional articles inside your repo to describe how you work with architecture, with patterns you use inside, maybe some coordinators or navigations pattern you use. So something that may be useful not only for agents, but maybe even for your developers, for your colleagues. And the last part is the team constraints. You can also describe how you work, for instance, with Git, how you name your branches, how you work with localization, resources, and so on. Everything related only for your team that may be really useful for your team. The next part is the platform context. I tried to visualize it with this picture. So for me, iOS development based on three elephants. The first one is Swift. It's a language we use. Objective-C is still used in some projects, but it's not so popular nowadays. And two more elephants, it's interface frameworks. It's Swift UI and UIKit. UIKit is still very popular, many companies use it, many projects was written in UIKit, so it's still here and we need to use it. And also some tasks may be not implemented only with Swift UI. You still need to understand UIKit to implement something. And all these elephants are based on the Apple documentation. So for me, it's a source of truth. When you can read some articles, read some documentations, it's very new, very fresh, because Apple tried to update it with the new frameworks, with the new language updates. So it's a good basis. Almost all information you can find in documentations, in WWDC sessions. So it's good to connect it with the agents, so they can use this information for implementation. And how I configure it for my workflow. The first one is Claude MD. I just describe all instructions for my colleagues and for my agents. And we also have a folder with docs. So you may describe some architecture pattern, how you work with design system, and so on. The next part is very interesting. If you have installed Xcode on your laptop, you may see that inside Xcode you have a lot of different offline documentations. And this tool actually, Xdocs, it's an MCP server, and it's tried to read these documentations, and you can use it offline inside your agents. It's really useful, and you can check a lot of different information about what we have inside frameworks. The next part is Soulsumi AI. It's also an MCP server, but it can also go on the internet and check some WWDC sessions, check some examples by Apple. So almost the same tools, but with access for online documentation. Apple tried to modernize Xcode to add something new AI features. And in 26th version, they added also some chat interface, so you can use chat to connect with errors, to understand warnings, to write documentation there. And also inside Xcode, there is interesting documentation related to how to work in agents with the Swift, with Combine, with Swift UI. And this documentation is free. You can open Xcode and check everything. So I just published it on GitHub to check it fastly. So you can check it also on my GitHub. And the last part here is a bit controversial because, for instance, it exists in Claude Code but doesn't exist in Codex. It's Swift LCP plugin. LCP means Language Server Protocol. It's a special interface at first for IDE to work with the language. So the IDE may better work with language. They can find definition or functions. They can find calls on functions, not just with the regex, but just with some smarter way, with this protocol. And also we can use this one for Claude Code. It may faster find some definitions, maybe faster find some code with the less tokens here. But Codex team said that their search tools works without it. So I just enabled it, everything works good for me. So it works to try at least. So you may try it, and maybe you have something errors, you can just disable it. So the next part is the tools. We produce some codes, we see the result, but how to validate it? If everything works good or not, maybe we have some compilations error, some warnings here, how to check it? Maybe have some tests on the project and they fail it. Almost all agents have some pre-installed tools. They can read and write files. Actually, it's my career in just one sentence, read and write files. They can also execute commands. They are good in scripting languages. They can write something and execute in Bash, in Python, and so on. Modern agents also have some kind of plan mode. If you have some complicated tasks, you can decompose it, you can validate the result after all tasks, and in final, you can validate the whole result. And also agent may go on the internet to check some forums, check maybe Stack Overflow, and use it inside the result to produce better results. What is missed here, actually, it's an Xcode build. It's an CLI that we use for validate the builds, to check the project, to validate settings, and you need to somehow connect it to the agent. The most easier part, just to describe it inside CloudMD, inside AgentMD, you can just write a few comments there, how to use it, which parameters we may use. And with it, agents already may validate the result, that can write tests, check that everything is link connect, and so on. But if you try to run it manually or check the logs on CI, you may see something very long logs there. Here is the log for Salmon application, and it's around 8,000 lines here. For me, it sounds like your weekly limits is reached out. You need to update your subscription here. So how to work with it, how to compact it to make it better to use in agent workflow with a matter of context. So here is a simple tool. It's called XCSIFT. And actually, it's very useful because it's just a summary for all Xcode builds. No matter which parameters you use, it just produced a short summary with the errors, warnings, tests, and build time. So you don't need to spend tokens to understand all logs there. The next part, when we build the project, we need to run the simulator to understand which layout we have, is everything works good, navigation worker good, maybe some backend errors there. So actually we use the interface of Xcode to it. So we boot, install, launch on the simulator and click some buttons here. And with the help of open source community, we have these great tools. It's called Xcode Build MCP. The name is actually very descriptive. It's an Xcode build interface connected via MCP. So it's a bridge between Xcode build for agent, so it can run tests, check the results, validate everything, and also it has internal tools for working with simulators. It's very important for mobile developers, because on the web we can run browsers, can check the whole layout there, check the DOM, and everything very easy. But with the iOS applications it's a bit harder. So it's a good idea to connect simulator to your actual agent. And with this tool it's really simple, really useful. Also, we have some new interesting update from Apple team. We have a minor version of Xcode, it's 26.3, but this version has an interesting new agent mode right inside the Xcode. So here is an example from Salmon application. I just asked to validate the layout there, to check the preview, and check the formatting of the phone number. So the agent went, it built the project, and checked the picture from preview, and validate that everything works here. For me, I see a few pros and cons of use this mode here. Is everyone tried this in Xcode? With agent mode inside Xcode? Okay, one hand. Okay, please share your experience, because for me it's not so good. It's maybe very good for the first time. So here is a pros. You need to less context switching. You don't need to use terminal. You can use the same IDE. You know all the buttons and layout, so you can just use it. It's very good for the first start. If you didn't try agent coding, it's a good start for you. The next part, that it works with the documentations and previews. So previews here is, for me, it's very important, because the layout of the screen is the result of my work. I see what's on the screen of user. Previously we talked about system prompts, and these agents automatically use these prompts. You don't need to connect it somehow, it's already used and know what it lies. And also Xcode has a new MCP. For me, it looks like Xcode build MCP with some different tools there, but it also may be really useful if you don't want to use Xcode build MCP for some reason. Then here is a few cons related to these new additions. The first one, that in some scenarios you need to open your project inside Xcode. I know that many developers now use Cursor or use VS Code for development. If it's not an issue for you, it's good. And sometimes in some scenarios you need to select specific schema in Xcode. So if you have some models, you need to select model there, and after that return to agent. It's not too convenient for me. The next part, that inside Xcode we have right now two agents. It's Cloud Code and Codex. And we have outdated versions. You can't update it. I saw some notifications about new version, but it's still outdated. So all bugs, all bad behavior there already included inside Xcode, just use it. I see some features limitations. For instance, in Cloud Code, I like insights command. When you wait a little bit and see the whole web applications about your experience with Cloud Code, when you're good, when you're not, you see some insights about your using, and it's unavailable in Xcode. So why I need to use Cloud Code here? I can use it in terminal with the more features. And because of this mode inside Xcode, at first you need to create a new project. It's okay if you already work for a team, but if you're an experimenter, you're a web coder, you need to create new applications, this one is unavailable for you. You need to create a new Xcode project manually. And it can run simulators. It's a big issue for me. That's why I prefer Xcode build MCP. Maybe on WWDC we will see some new additions to this mod, but right now you can't use it. So you may also use some combinations with Xcode build MCP, just some wrappers around Xcode build and this mod. So it's okay to use the combinations of all these tools. And the last part, but not least, it's integrations. Because all developer tasks not about coding, not about just Swift functions. It's also about some product requirements, feature flags, some backend logic, some design, and so on. So you work with different teams. We in Salmon use Jira and Atlassian. It's a source of truth for our documentations, for our tasks, so where we connected with our managers to understand that we implemented everything good or not. So it's good to connect this one with the agents. No matter which one issue tracker you use, it's a good idea to connect it and to understand that we implemented everything correct. We see the acceptance criteria, even the project builds, it doesn't matter that you implemented everything correct. And you also connect it with some maybe Android implementations to validate if the implementation is the same or not. Maybe we missed something. And you can also see some related tasks. Maybe you just skipped something very important that was some maybe in threads, maybe in some comments. My favorite part here is the Figma. When you work with the new screens, when you want to implement something new, we see the new design in Figma. It's very popular instrument for design. And Figma also had an official MCP server. I also saw some unofficial MCP servers on GitHub. But it's a good idea to connect this with your agents, because for me it's an everyday task. When you see a new screen, you need to implement it, create a new model, and so on. Agent may understand your design system and see the whole layout. It can validate the text there. It can combine everything together and see design system here. And also you may see that on the right of the picture, I see profile page view.swift. That means that I connected my GitLab repository with Figma. So the agent may fast find this file I want to change, I want to implement here. So it's just a matter of speed here. So it's just additional tools to connect everything. And for me, it's a game changer because I don't need to spend time to check the result. I just check the layout, maybe some spacers. So agents are not so perfect in pixel-perfect designs. So you still need to tweak something, some spacings, or check that the layout is correct. But it's time-saving features from Figma. And the last one is a backend. I work with a backend with different endpoints. For bank, it's maybe something specific because we try to not store some user-related data locally. So we use different backends and different endpoints. It is also a good idea to connect your documentations. If you use Swagger or OpenAI, it's good. Or you can see it somewhere on Atlassian and Jira. It's also good to connect, so the agent can understand the final implementation. So what described in the documentations. But another really good step here is to check to validate the real traffic inside your app. When I debug my applications, I use Proxyman. It's a popular instrument for proxying. You may see the whole traffic inside your application. If you go to Firebase on your backend, you may check every responses, every headers. It's very useful. But it's already a good idea to connect it to your agents and to understand, is it the same as in documentations? Maybe it's a bug on backend, maybe we have a bug on mapping these parameters, so you can debug your applications faster with this tool. So it's good to use it to connect. No matter which one you use for proxying, so it's okay to check the real traffic. So all three parts works really good, especially on the same project. But without agents, you will see that the code will be just average code. Maybe you need to adapt it manually for your team constraints, maybe for Swift lint rules you use it. So you need more manual work here. And without tools, you need to check your results manually. You need to run it on simulator, check the layout on different screens, maybe check some localizations issue, and so on. And without integrations, agent may see only the parts of the tasks and don't see the whole scenario, the whole picture of the tasks. Yeah, and when I started in 2014, it was hard to imagine how far we would come. And all new AI tools for me, I really I can automate my routine, I can be more productive in some different tasks, and it opens new opportunities for me. But there is an uncertainty because it's hard to predict how our products, how our teams change even by the end of the year. But for me, it's a sign that we need to keep learning, we need to use new tools and adapt for the all new changes. And that's what we have done today with you. So thank you so much for your attention. Feel free to ask any questions. Also, here is a QR code with all materials and all tools I mentioned in the slides. And also I have a few gifts. The first tumblers will be for the first questions. And I have some personal prizes for me, so feel free to ask any questions. Thank you. 감사합니다.
Do you have any question?
Thank you for the presentation. I wanted to ask a question related to agent skills. Do you use them? And if so, what are the most useful ones that you find very handy during the iOS development process?
Yeah, great question. Because skills are very popular nowadays. I see a lot of open source skills and we try to use them in our teams. We try to share some skills inside the team because someone used something personal that may automate some routines. For me, the silliest one and the simplest one is the skills that created a new GitLab merge request for me. It just checks all diff and write a short description about what was implemented. So before it was just manual work. I need to check everything to highlight something important parts here, and it's just some little tool that helped me to save some times. And also we have some open source skill. I try to experiment with different ones. The most advanced one is superpowers. It's also on GitHub. It's very popular. A lot of GitHub start there. It's try to help you with the implementations. It try to create a plan to how to validate the results. Maybe you need some tests. It's very complicated maybe in some tasks, but I found it's useful. And we try to collect skills inside our companies. We have a repository for all skills, for all teams. And for me, just an inspiration. I can check that we have some automation in different team. Maybe I may reuse something, maybe from Android. So, like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And just to bounce back on this, do you know around how many skills, like internal skills, do you have? And is there any like team meetings or about how do you update skills? Like how do you decide, okay, we need a new skills? How does that work internally?
Legacy for skills, yeah?
So,
yeah, how we update it from time to time.
Yeah, how do you decide, okay, we need to create this internal skill and how do we update it because someone finds something better or new models? How do you work? Like,
we have a separate repository, so we don't store it inside our iOS repository. And you can connect it with the skills. Skills as such is very popular managers for skills. So we try to use it from day to day. And if you have some problems, you can just share it with your colleagues. And after that, we tweak it a little bit. So we try to use it in different scenarios. That it becomes stronger from day to day. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your talk. The next question is, so when does AI start slowing you down? And which tasks is not good for AI in your personal experience?
It's a good question from my colleague. We work together in one team. About the speed. Yeah, I don't see the boost like on the internet. I don't feel like I'm 10x developer, that everything I can finish in just one day and chill the whole week. So about hard parts, for me it's something related to complicated layout in Swift UI. Because it's maybe hard to tweak something, to wrap everything around and make everything pixel perfect. So I need to sometimes to manual experiment with someone. Maybe it's a lack of my knowledge, but as for conversations on the internet, I see that the layout issues are still the issues. And the next part may be planning. If you try to implement the whole complicated tasks, you need 10 screens from Figma, you try to do it in just one prompt, you may just burn all your tokens. So you need to decompose it previously. For me, it's sometimes it's manual work because I need to understand that everything will be correct, that I don't spend times on it, I don't spend the whole day just to unused code. So maybe something complicated is something related to product requirements that is not on the paper. So you can check it in the documentations, you can only ask your colleagues. So you need to document everything and make it new and updated.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Tumblr for you. I'm here. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Artem. So you mentioned before that even you didn't use coding by hand, right, this year. So what do you think? Do we need to improve our coding skills in next year or two, or we need to improve other skills because of this AI agent coding?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. For me, it's a good sign that we need to still use our hard skills. So you need to understand what agent produced. For instance, in Swift, how strict concurrency works, how Swift UI layout works, because you need to you may spend more time to debug it, to validate the result, and you don't understand, because I read some stories that you may produce a lot of different codes, but you don't know how everything works, and you need to debug and spend more and more time. So for me, it's still, at least today, it's need to understand some hard parts of the app. You need to understand languages. But I see in interesting projects that we have some language that was written especially for agents, not for people, but for agents. So we would just check new technologies, check the temperature and atmosphere there, and just try to adapt. So right now I see that the hard skills are important, still important.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
First of all, thank you for nice presentation. Could you please the screen? You showed us pros and cons. Cons, please.
Yeah.
Yes. And there is mentioned the use of outdated agents with the feature limitations. I'm not sure that my question is something to do with this, but nowadays I tried experimental agent coding, Apple Intelligence. As you know, the 2 agents and 1 OpenAI living in Xcode, Codex and Claude and OpenAI ChatGPT. But nowadays, I just tried experimental project, and there was all of a sudden my use of my limitations, and they require me to update the paid service. But I'm not sure how much cost and how far I can go. Not sure there is it's not unable to measure what service is for me. I guess you certain those obstacles you met and you get over those things. How did you get over those limitations you stopped?
Yeah. So the question about the limitations.
Yes.
Here, yeah. It's not the hard one. You may still use it inside Xcode. It's okay. So you may even not understand that you have limitations. But for me, it's good to get an everyday updates, because Claude Code and Codex update almost every day with the new features. Maybe like voice, you can just write your prompts with your voice. And inside Xcode, you see some limitations, some restrictions. So most useful for me is insights. I use it by the way, for instance, you can be BTW, and you can interrupt the agent and ask additional questions. It's not available inside Xcode. So for me, just the pros are less than cons. So that's why I use Cloud Code in terminal.
That means just try, and if there is the more experience might be the more opportunity to figure out how far back what services the proper for me.
Yeah, just try. I like to learn through doing. Just try to different models, different harness around them. Try inside Xcode, try inside terminal, and understand if it's okay for you or not to use in your scenarios for your projects.
I need more try. I should try.
Yeah.
Because there is a certain table. There is a figure. There is certain visually the data certain, and what services, how far I can go, how much the cost, and how far I can go. There is no certain data. There is. That's why. Which service, which one? There is a certain grade there is, and the cost is different. But which cost, how much I should cost, and then how far I can go. But it's unpredictable, that's why.
Yeah, inside Xcode, it's hard to check pricing, inside to check your limits. So you maybe need some additional tools, maybe in your toolbar to check that everything is work good. But according to some pricings, of course, it's hard to check, it's hard to validate, but it's a good idea just to buy a new plan with the more tokens, with the low limits. So it's good. Instead of working something good, instead of tweaks your prompts, just buy a new plan. And for me, 200 plan in Cloud Code, it's enough almost for any tasks, for your vibe coding projects and for your project. In Salmon, we have some limitations for each team member. So I have some personal limits per month, and they update it every month. It's enough for me. So right now, I don't think about limits and tokens. It's enough.
Thank you.
This might not be strictly about technicality, so excuse me in advance, but can you please walk through or demo Salmon just on a small iOS task, like pulling a Jira ticket or to know how the project flows? For example, from the Claude's markdown or documents, rather than just producing generic code. So just a short simulation of the Salmon itself, if that's okay.
So the question about simulations, about the writing
yes.
on the simulator?
The simulation or just a walkthrough of simple functions, because I was curious how Salmon works.
The whole product?
Yeah, the whole product. Just a short function, maybe if you can show us a walkthrough, like a demo.
I'm not sure I'm ready for it. Of course, I have some simulators, but it will maybe some time consuming. I will show you in private on my phone. I have some demos of the applications, maybe some test users. But actually, we have some stands. We don't test our applications in production. We have some testing, some stage to create new users, to create new products, and to simulate some states to validate that my feature is working. It helps me a lot. And after that, we just run it in different simulators to check different features, to check that everything works, and we can validate that my feature is implemented like that.
May I pivot to a short question?
Yeah.
If then, how much are you sure that Xcode helps you create useful code instead of just a generic Swift code? How was it when you are working in production?
Comparing Xcode agent mode.
Xcode agent to, does it create generic Swift code? Do you feel like it is more of a generic helper, or do you feel like it can also be very specifically tailored to your needs?
Yeah, talking about Xcode, Xcode also had Apple Intelligence, something like that. It's like a prediction for your code. I disabled it from the first day. It was really unused for me. In this case, I use GitHub Copilot sometimes. It has a special Xcode extensions that help me with some tasks when I really need to write something manually. Comparing agent mode inside Xcode and some terminals, for me the result may be the same because you use the same models inside, maybe some outdated versions of harness around it, some Cloud Code and codecs, but it's not a big problem. So if you want to use it inside Xcode, it's okay, you can connect the same MCP, you can connect skills, so you may tweak it for you and the result may be even better than in the terminals. It depends on how you use it. So my short question is yes, you can use it.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you for a great presentation. I have a question regarding design, UI. I'm not good at designing, do you usually use AI for UI? Because what I see nowadays, when you are using AI for design, everything is like general, like hovering, button, color, everything is same. So if you use it, what kind of AI or maybe skills do you recommend us to use for UI? And my second question is actually about like, I have read recently article. People are thinking about AI agents not as a tool, but as a stack. What is your opinion about it? And if possible, a friend of us gave question about skills. But when I use AI agents for coding, the code is actually, I don't want to say it, but it's trash sometimes. So what kind of skills exactly do you use for coding? Thank you very much.
Okay, 3 questions. The first one about design, how to produce a good design here. At my work task and my workflow, I don't create a new design. I just use the existing one from our professional designers and I just to implement it. But for my personal project, of course, I try to implement something, to implement a new mobile application, to implement some websites. I try to wipe code something. And I see the problem that it's hard to create a really interesting, really cool design there. And from the last tools, I remember that the Google had a Stitch maybe, something like that. It's a good for some inspiration when you need to find ideas how to implement something, but maybe it's cheaper to find a designer to create a new design right now. So the people here are the best. My wife are now teachers teaching on design, so I have a free designer in my family. It's good for me. Yeah, and also last days I use Cloud Design. Yeah, also my colleagues made the presentations before on Monday and it was generated by Cloud Code. It looks pretty good. For me it's just a manual work, so here everything created by human. But it's also good, I try to update my blogs to make something really interesting because right now my blog looks like a blog of developers, but I want to make it a bit more interesting, maybe some fancy tricks here, and I try to implement it with Cloud Design, and for me it's a good result, so it worth to try. So here is 2 tools I recommend to try. The next question, what about the stack? Yeah,
people are thinking as a future of AI, not as a tool, but as a stack. So what is your opinion about code agents, like agents actually? I mean, Cloud Code and maybe Codex or maybe another.
It's hard to predict actually, but for me, I may expect that we will see some changes inside teams, inside roles. So maybe some designers will code, maybe some coders will spend more time on analytics. So code is not a problem right now in most cases. So you may validate the result, you may check everything, you may create the whole automation because I see some interesting processes in different commands. About the stack, right now AI is just a tool for me, so it means nothing without people. So in good hands, with the good skills, you can create really good startups, you can create SaaS in one person and make more money, but everything inside our head. So you need good ideas and good skills to use it correctly. So for me, I see that some people will get more result with it, maybe this year and next months. And the last part about skills, yeah?
Yeah, again, skills. I mean, what exactly skills do you recommend us to use when it comes to coding? Because sometimes when you prompt, it makes really worse sometimes. I'm not saying it's like the new models are really great, but they make mistakes sometimes. So when you are reviewing, you have to refactor it. So
Yeah, about my stack, I tried to stay it as simple as possible. You don't need a lot of different skills, a lot of prompts. You don't need orchestration to create just a simple application. So just to try to use it, if you, especially if you don't use some skills, and just to highlight some problems, some maybe bad prompts you use. You may ask Claude Code about the sessions, what was wrong, how to implement it. Maybe you see some repetitions and you may ask to suggest a few skills. So you just need to try. About the skills recommendations related to maybe iOS developers, I recommend to check skill.sh. It's a popular manager for skills, and you can just write Swift, iOS, or Swift UI, and there is different interesting popular skills. And also, what's very important here, that you may check that there is no need issues, no vulnerabilities inside the skills. You can validate it with the checks from the service. So it's good to find something that really fits to you, to your workflow, to your project.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I have a last one prize, and I decided that I'll give it to the best questions. So, who is without tumblers? Feel free to ask.
Hello.
Yeah,
Thank you for your presentation. And I have a question. You mentioned it's important to have good hard skills. And specifically, particularly for entry levels, is it fair to say that they need to learn more a new hard skill, which is to communicate with AI agents rather than programming language?
It's good to use AI for learning, because when you need to implement something really new, it's good to use it for different tasks. And also in some agents, you may see that you can enable some learning mode. When it implements something, it also describes what does it mean, what the code is it inside. That's hard. It's good to use this tool, these tips, what was implemented. And I try to wipe code some products, like I have Telegram bots, and I try to use Python. It's unfamiliar for me. And actually, sometimes I don't understand how everything works. So right now, it's not a problem for me. But if it was a real product with real users, so sometimes you need to describe how everything works, how to fix something faster, how to enable analytics here. You can also ask your agents to implement it, but it's good to understand how everything works. At least the big architectures, what you need to implement and how to implement it. So maybe in next months and next years, we just see bigger pictures for implementation, not for language and some functions, but maybe some product restrictions, maybe some analytics and so on, something related to product.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, thanks for your presentation. From your slides, you mentioned using cloud.md plus docs for the context. How do you structure and maintain those files as the project scales?
I try to revise it from time to time, because it's need to be conscious, and if you do something, you need to validate it, because it's added to all your sessions. When you create a new sessions, it's added every time, and you don't need to add some features inside it, how your folders layout or your models inside. It must be very, very, very short. Yep. Inside documents, don't use in every sessions, so it may be a bit more related to context, and you may mention it. So if you work with design system, you can mention just document related to design system. If you work with localization, you can mention just localization documents. And you may also write in system prompt. If you work with these models, it's enable localization, use these docs, and so on. So I try to revise it from time to time, to remove something, to add something new. And right now, in our team, we try to sync it between different members of team. So the doc will be the same for all of us, so we can reuse it and work with it together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. we have more.
Thank you for your presentation. I have two questions, and the first one is, have you ever tried to managing the memories of the agent? And second one is, if so, what is your recommendation or good advices for managing the memories of the agents?
You mean memory as a separate part of agents or just the context of current sessions?
Over the current session, it's permanent memory of the agent.
Yeah, for current session. Yeah, I use different tools like XCShift I mentioned today to make this more shorter. For me right now, the biggest problem here when I tried to make my session compact is a Figma. Because Figma MCP servers spend a lot of tokens just for the layout one screen, or if you have 10 screens. So I tried to decompose the tasks to make my sessions more shorter, and I rarely use compact. So if you have a very, very long session, you can use compact command to summarize everything. Yeah, about memory. So I tried to write less prompts. So if I see the result, if everything is okay, it's a good sign to commit, good sign to check your task that everything works good. So I try to use just shorter sessions, because also it's a problem related to big context. When you have a lot of information, the models start to hallucinate a little bit about everything that we mentioned before and about some tools inside. So it's good to just clear and to start from scratch if you committed all your changes.
Sorry to bother you, but I have to elaborate my question before. I meant permanent memory of the agent, not just living in current session.
Not for session, but permanent, like
Yes,
CloudMD, how I can manage it.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's about CloudMD when you can write the whole prompt inside.
I think there is a cloud memory nowadays, so...
So you're about cloud memory.
Yes.
Yeah, about special tools for cloud.
Yes.
I don't use it.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't need it for my tasks. Maybe I need to try it because I read that it's maybe useful in some cases, but I just didn't try it.
So every session you have to start again. You should explain everything to context every single session started, right?
Related to tasks, yes, I tried to write additional documents related to my features. For instance, if I want to implement a new cashback features, I just tried to describe something, to see the result from agent, and save to the separate MD file around maybe in docs, maybe related to features inside the models. And after that, I can reuse it. Just check everything. Maybe I have some tasks with the check marks. So if you're done, just check marks. So it's a simple practice for me. Maybe I need something more complicated, but it works, so I just use it.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for the presentation. I have a question about a simulator. When I let my agent review the result on a simulator with iOS simulator skill, the agent, I saw the agent was using the tool IDB.
Yeah.
So my question is, does your agent use a better tool than IDB, or just create the test code on simulator?
Yeah. IDB is okay to use, and as far as I know, inside Xcode build MCP, they used a special AX. It's a separate package on GitHub. It allows you to interact with simulator, to use some gestures, to scroll something, to tap the buttons. And it's okay to validate some scenarios, but it's already high token consuming, so you spend more tokens on it. So it's a better idea to automate it with UI tests. So if you have repetition scenarios and you need to run it again, it's better to write UI tests for it. Yep, thank you.
We have more. No, I have some. So the first one is you've been talking about Xcode, but what about outside of Xcode? I think something which is great about AI is you said you don't write code anymore. So why even opening Xcode, right? Why just opening a tool that you can just compare code left and right, a diff tool? Or, I've been writing some iOS and I've done a lot of iOS on VS Code, not even Xcode, just on Cursor, or now even with AI now, I use my editor of choice, NeoVim, to write iOS applications. So what about a life outside of Xcode? Did you try? Are there some people at Salmon that don't use Xcode at all? And
Yeah,
does that work?
I try to use different IDEs because, for instance, VS Code is very popular and you may use it for web project, for backend projects, and it's a good idea to use it for all stack you're working on. So for me, sometimes it's hard because you don't remember some shortcuts, you need to add some building tools for it, but really with agents you don't need to do manual tasks. You can just ask your agents, but it's good to see really diff, what's added, what was removed. So I try to use VS Code. Last year I tried to use Cursor. It's not so convenient for me, but it's also okay. And related to agents, I try to use Terminal because almost all new harnesses are written for Terminal. Copilot CLI, Gemini CLI, Grok CLI, almost all inside CLI. So I just try to use CLI as much as I can. I try to use lazy Git instead of visual interface. It's good for me as a practice. So actually you don't need to open Xcode, but two reasons I run it every day. The first one is the previews. So I check the result that everything works good. It's good to see that previews works here. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it's okay. And the last one that sometimes when I want to build the project, it works faster than inside CLI. So inside Xcode they have some build system tricks, and sometimes it's built just faster inside Xcode than in CLI. So it's just the two reasons.
And my last question would be, from a developer to another developer, from someone who does development not as a job but as a passion, as something I love. I'm always, sad about AI because we are always, especially if you work for a company or if you have your own company, you trade off productivity. You want to develop more features, so AI allow you to develop more features, but at the same time, you say you don't write code anymore. And to me, this is painful. I love writing code. I love the thrill of it. So how about you? Like, how do you see, you don't feel like anything about that? Or because it's always, it's always difficult to decide because company want to produce more, you can produce more. You also want to produce more, but at the same time, your, engineering mindset or the love of the code makes you kind of sad at the end of the day. Like, I didn't write anything at all.
Yeah, I'm a bit sad because I like coding and it's my passion maybe. I spend my free time on creating something new. I have a blog when I post some articles for free for anyone. So I just tried to adapt. So I just want to find some fun in using of different stacks. I try to implement something new, some new products, because all my career I was just iOS developers or native iOS developers. That was okay for me. And now I have more opportunities. I try to see some fun of creating something interesting tools on there. So it's okay for me right now. I don't have a depression. So I just tried to understand something new, to learn something new.
All right. So for more questions to Artem, we have the networking. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And last prize for me. I have a special prize for me. Here is the book. Last week I was in Shanghai, and the bookstore I see this book. Actually, it's written in Chinese, so I don't understand what it's about. But with this book, you see the difference between different countries and different companies. Because in some companies, you may be fired of using OpenClaw. But in China, as I know, you need to, in some companies, you need to automate one task per day. And if you skip a few days, you will be fired. So it's a big gap on the industry. So sometimes you use this one, sometimes don't use this one. And OpenClaw is a good stamp of time. It's a good memory. I don't know we'll use it on next year or maybe we forgot about it, but it will be a good memory about nowadays and about this meetup. And I want to share this book with this guy with 3 questions. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
So come to the next meetup next month and tell us, and explain everything. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.